Have you ever wondered why some people seem to always be protected, while others face constant spiritual challenges? The answer may lie in a simple object that Padre Pio considered his most powerful weapon, the Rosary. If you're watching this video, it's no coincidence. Today, I will reveal 5 surprising reasons why Padre Pio recommended keeping the Rosary under your pillow at night. Before unveiling these transformative secrets, I invite you to write in the comments, "I accept the protection of the Rosary under my pillow." This simple declaration of faith will be your first step toward a transformation in your life. Padre Pio, known for his profound spiritual connection, not only recommended the use of the Rosary, he lived this practice intensely. In his most challenging moments, it was to the Rosary that he turned, sometimes praying as many as 34 rosaries in a single day. But what he discovered about keeping the Rosary close during sleep is something that can completely change your nights. Have you ever noticed how the hours leading up to sleep can be especially challenging? It's in these moments that worries seem to grow stronger and negative thoughts try to creep into your mind. Padre Pio deeply understood this nightly battle that many people face. That's why he found in the practice of keeping the Rosary under the pillow an inexhaustible source of protection and peace. Think for a moment. How many nights have you spent awake, struggling with troubling thoughts? How often have you felt that inexplicable restlessness when trying to fall asleep? What I'm about to share with you today is not just a religious tradition, it's a proven practice that has transformed the lives of thousands of people. This wisdom that Padre Pio left us is especially relevant today, as we live surrounded by so many worries and anxieties. The modern world bombards us with information, problems, and constant challenges. Now more than ever, we need a safe haven, an effective method to protect ourselves and find true peace. The 5 reasons I'm about to reveal are not just theories. They are fundamental truths that Padre Pio discovered through his own experience and years of observing the transformations in the lives of those who followed this advice. Each of these reasons carries a transformative power that can completely change your relationship with sleep, spiritual protection, and inner peace. Before proceeding with these revelations, I must warn you, what you're about to discover in the next few minutes may seem too simple to be true. But remember, the deepest truths often present themselves in the simplest practices. That's how Padre Pio lived and taught, with simplicity and depth. Prepare your heart to receive these revelations. The first reason I will share with you is so powerful that many people report significant changes as early as the first night of practicing it. Are you ready to discover why keeping a Rosary under your pillow might be the key to more peaceful nights and more blessed days? If you're wondering whether this really works, let me assure you, this practice is not about superstition. It's about establishing a deep connection, creating an atmosphere of protection, and opening your heart to receive special blessings during the most vulnerable part of your day, your sleep. Let's now explore the first of these 5 surprising reasons, and you'll understand why Padre Pio so fervently advocated for this seemingly simple yet profoundly transformative practice. The first and most impactful reason Padre Pio revealed about keeping the Rosary under your pillow is tied to spiritual protection. Have you ever noticed how the night can bring with it a different feeling? How our thoughts can become more vulnerable during this time? There's an explanation for this. Padre Pio always emphasized that nighttime is an especially sensitive period for our souls. During his long nights of prayer, he discovered that the Rosary acts as a protective shield, especially when placed under the pillow. But why exactly does this happen? When we place the Rosary under our pillow, we create a protective field that goes far beyond the physical object. It's as if we establish a constant connection with a source of light and protection. Padre Pio explained that this simple act strengthens our spiritual connection during the hours of sleep when we are most vulnerable, and our conscious mind is at rest. Think of the Rosary as an antenna maintaining a constant connection with goodness, Just as we install security systems in our homes for physical protection, the rosary under the pillow acts as a spiritual security system. This protection manifests in various ways in our lives. First, it helps ward off disturbing thoughts that often arise at bedtime. Have you ever noticed how old worries and fears seem to gain strength when you lay down to rest? The rosary under the pillow acts as a natural filter against these negative thoughts. Padre Pio also observed that those who adopted this practice reported a noticeable improvement in their ability to discern. It's as if the rosary helps us distinguish more clearly between thoughts that strengthen us and those that weaken us. This mental clarity is one of the first signs that the protection is working. But the protection goes beyond the mental realm. Many people report a physical sensation of peace and security when adopting this practice. It's as if the entire room is enveloped by an energy of protection. This is not an imaginary effect. It's the natural result of establishing a point of spiritual connection in our most intimate space. Padre Pio often said that the rosary is a weapon against adversity. When we place it under our pillow, we are essentially creating a protective shield that works while we sleep. Sleep is a time when many spiritual battles take place, and having this protection is crucial for maintaining our inner peace. An important observation Padre Pio made was about the consistency of this practice. It's not something to be done only in moments of difficulty. The protection strengthens with regularity. It's like building a wall of protection. Each night with the rosary under your pillow adds another brick to this spiritual structure. You might be wondering if you need to pray the entire rosary before bed for this protection to work. While praying the rosary is a powerful practice, Padre Pio explained that the simple act of keeping it under your pillow already establishes a protective connection. Of course, if you can pray a few Hail Marys before bed, the benefits will be even greater. The protection also extends beyond the time of sleep. Many people report starting their day with more strength and determination after sleeping with the rosary under their pillow. It's as if the nightly protection prepares us for the challenges of the next day, providing a solid foundation of spiritual security. This protection has a cumulative effect. Over time, you may notice significant changes in various areas of your life. Relationships become more harmonious, decisions become clearer, and that constant feeling of vulnerability gives way to a deep sense of security and confidence. Padre Pio always emphasized that this protection does not make us immune to challenges, but strengthens us to face them with greater wisdom and serenity. It's like having a spiritual bodyguard, not one who prevents difficulties from appearing, but one who helps us handle them in a more balanced way. The second reason Padre Pio revealed about the power of the rosary under the pillow is directly linked to the quality of your sleep. In his guidance, he always emphasized how this simple act can completely transform your nights. When we place the rosary under the pillow, we create an environment conducive to truly restorative sleep. Have you ever noticed how different it feels to sleep in a space that exudes peace? The rosary under the pillow creates precisely that atmosphere. It's not just a matter of faith, it's a practice that directly impacts our nervous system. Padre Pio observed that people who adopted this habit began to notice significant changes in their sleep patterns within the first few weeks. The deep and restorative sleep achieved through this practice is no coincidence. When we prepare for sleep with the rosary under our pillow, our body and mind receive a clear signal that it is time to rest. It's like creating a personal ritual of peace, signaling to our inner self that we are in a safe space. But the impact goes beyond sleep itself. The third reason revealed by Padre Pio shows us how this practice influences our entire day. When we sleep well, we wake up with more energy, mental clarity, and a positive outlook. It's a virtuous cycle that begins with a simple act of faith, placing the rosary under the pillow. Padre Pio observed that many people who struggled with nighttime anxiety found significant relief through this practice. It's as if the rosary serves as an anchor for our inner peace. When thoughts begin to spiral out of control, the presence of the rosary reminds us that we are not alone in our nighttime struggles. This nighttime peace has a ripple effect on our lives. Think about how often a restless night has affected your mood, decisions, and even relationships the next day. Now imagine the opposite. Peaceful nights leading to lighter and more productive days. This is exactly what the rosary under the pillow can provide. Padre Pio explained that sleep is not merely a time for physical rest. It is also a period of spiritual renewal. During sleep, our soul processes experiences, heals emotional wounds, and prepares for future challenges. The rosary under the pillow enhances this natural process of healing and renewal. An interesting aspect highlighted by Padre Pio is how this practice affects our dreams. Many people report that their dreams become lighter and more meaningful. It's as if the rosary helps filter out negative influences, even in our subconscious, allowing for truly restorative rest. The quality of sleep achieved through this practice is not measured merely in hours, but in the depth of rest. You may have experienced sleeping many hours yet waking up tired. With the rosary under the pillow, even shorter periods of sleep can become genuinely restorative. The peace we find during the night reflects in our ability to handle challenges during the day. It's as if each night of sleep protected by the rosary equips us with new tools to face daily difficulties. Our emotional resilience increases, our patience strengthens, and our ability to remain calm in difficult situations expands. Padre Pio also observed how this practice positively impacted those struggling with constant worries. The rosary under the pillow acts as a physical reminder that we can surrender our concerns before going to sleep. It's a practical exercise in trust and surrender that grows stronger with each passing night. The impact of this nighttime peace on our physical health is also remarkable. When we sleep well, our body has the opportunity to heal and regenerate properly. Many people report improvements in various aspects of their health after regularly adopting this practice. Our capacity to forgive and release grudges also strengthens with this protected sleep. It's as if the rosary under the pillow helps us process difficult emotions during the night, allowing us to wake up with a lighter heart and a greater willingness to start anew. The peace we find in this nightly ritual is not temporary. It accumulates and takes deep root in our lives. Over time, you may notice that situations that once emotionally unsettled you are now faced with more serenity and wisdom. Padre Pio always emphasized that this nighttime peace is a gift we should share. When we are more rested and balanced, we naturally become instruments of peace for those around us. Our own tranquility begins to positively influence our environment and relationships. Now that you know the second and third reasons for keeping the rosary under your pillow, prepare to discover the fourth reason, which reveals how this practice can bring even deeper transformations into your life. The fourth reason Padre Pio revealed about the power of the rosary under the pillow relates to an extraordinary phenomenon of personal transformation. When we maintain this practice consistently, we begin to notice subtle yet profound changes in how we think and act. It's as if each night with the rosary under the pillow plants seeds of transformation in our lives. This transformation starts in a very personal and intimate way. You might notice that your reactions to difficult situations begin to change. That automatic response of stress or anxiety starts to be replaced by a more reflective and balanced attitude. Padre Pio observed that people who maintained this practice naturally developed an inner wisdom to handle life's challenges. The fifth reason is equally powerful and is connected to the special blessings we receive through this practice. Padre Pio explained that the rosary under the pillow creates a constant channel of blessings in our lives. It's as if we establish a permanent connection to a source of grace that works even while we sleep. These blessings manifest in surprising ways in our lives. Many people report beginning to notice opportunities that previously went unnoticed. It's as if our eyes are open to see beyond appearances, recognizing hidden blessings even in the most challenging situations. One notable aspect of this transformation is how our ability to forgive expands. Resentments and grudges that once seemed impossible to overcome begin to dissolve naturally. Padre Pio explained that this happens because the rosary under the pillow helps us process difficult emotions during sleep. The blessings also manifest in our professional lives. Many people notice a significant improvement in their ability to focus and make decisions. It's as if the rest protected by the rosary provides us with mental clarity that reflects across all areas of our lives. Our relationship with time also transforms. That constant feeling of rush and anxiety begins to give way to a more natural and balanced rhythm. Padre Pio observed that those who kept the rosary under their pillow developed a deeper understanding of the right timing for everything in their lives. The blessings extend to our relationships as well. You may notice that your ability to listen and understand others increases significantly. It's as if the period of rest with the rosary makes us more receptive and empathetic to the needs of those around us. One of the most surprising aspects of this transformation is how our intuition becomes stronger. Padre Pio explained that the rosary under the pillow helps us develop sharper discernment. We begin to see more clearly what is truly important in our lives and what are merely fleeting distractions. Blessings also manifest in our emotional health. That tendency to worry excessively about the future starts to diminish. In its place, we develop a deeper trust in life and in our ability to handle challenges as they arise. Our relationship with material possessions also transforms. Padre Pio observed that people who maintained this practice naturally developed a healthy detachment. This doesn't mean they stopped valuing what they had, but they began to understand that true wealth goes far beyond material possessions. The blessings also reach our family life. Many people report a significant improvement in their home environment after adopting this practice. It's as if the peace we find during the night naturally expands to include everyone living with us. A remarkable transformation occurs in our ability to handle change. That fear of the unknown that often paralyzes us begins to be replaced by a serene confidence in the future. Padre Pio explained that this happens because the rosary under the pillow helps us develop deeper roots in our faith. The blessings also manifest in our ability to help others. The more we are transformed by this practice, the more naturally we become instruments of good in the lives of those around us. It's a virtuous cycle that continues to expand. Our relationship with silence also transforms. That discomfort with moments of quiet begins to give way to a deep appreciation for silence. Padre Pio observed that this change was one of the clearest signs of the inner transformation that the rosary under the pillow provides. Now that you know all 5 reasons revealed by Padre Pio, it's time to understand how to start this practice in your own life and maximize its benefits. Now that you're familiar with the 5 extraordinary reasons revealed by Padre Pio about keeping the rosary under your pillow, it's time to take the first step toward transforming your life through this powerful practice. Let's briefly recall each of these reasons and learn how you can start today. First, we discovered how the rosary under the pillow creates a field of spiritual protection during our most vulnerable hours. This protection acts as an invisible shield, keeping us safe and secure while we rest. The second and third reasons showed us how this practice completely transforms the quality of our sleep and provides a deep peace that extends throughout the day. In the fourth and fifth reasons, we learned about the transformative power of this practice and the special blessings it attracts into our lives. These changes start subtly but deepen over time, taking firm root in our existence. To begin this practice today, choose a rosary that holds special meaning for you. It doesn't need to be new or expensive. The most important thing is the intention with which you use it. Before going to bed, hold the rosary in your hands for a few moments. This is a time to quiet your mind and prepare your heart. Place the rosary under your pillow carefully and respectfully. It doesn't need to be exactly in the center. Choose the position that feels most natural to you. Some people prefer to place it inside the pillowcase, while others opt to leave it between the pillow and the headboard. Trust your intuition to find the ideal spot. Remember, this is not a magical practice, but an act of faith and trust. The results will come naturally, in due time. Some people notice changes as early as the first few nights, while others experience more gradual transformations. The key is to maintain consistency and trust in the process. If you haven't already, comment now. I accept the protection of the rosary under my pillow. This simple act of public declaration strengthens your commitment to this new practice in your life. Additionally, your comment may inspire others to begin this transformative journey as well. To maximize the benefits of this practice, create a calm environment in your bedroom. Turn off electronic devices at least 30 minutes before bed and take a few moments for reflection. This preparation period helps create the ideal conditions for the power of the rosary under the pillow to manifest fully. If you feel that you need more guidance or support, save this video to your favorites so you can revisit it whenever necessary. Also, share it with loved ones who might benefit from this practice. Remember that by sharing this wisdom, you become an instrument of good in the lives of others. In addition, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, do it now to receive more revelations and precious teachings like this one. Also, activate the notification bell so you don't miss any special content we've lovingly prepared for you. Padre Pio left us this precious gift, a simple yet profoundly transformative practice. Now, it's up to you to take the first step. Don't let doubts or hesitations stop you from experiencing this transformation in your life. The time to begin is now. Always remember, the power of this practice lies not only in the physical object of the rosary, but also in the faith and consistency with which we perform it. Each night is a new opportunity to strengthen your protection, find true peace, and attract special blessings into your life. We'll see you in the next video with more revelations and teachings to transform your spiritual life. Imagine never having to worry about money again. Sounds impossible. What if I told you that Padre Pio, the saint who touched millions of lives with his miracles and wisdom, left behind a simple secret that could completely transform your financial life? Yes, we're talking about three numbers. Three numbers that, when written on the palm of your hand with the right intention and faith, have the potential to attract abundance and prosperity in ways you never thought possible. In the quiet halls of San Giovanni Rotondo, where Padre Pio spent his days serving God and healing souls, he revealed a profound secret. Three specific numbers that, when used with unwavering faith and proper spiritual intention, have the power to unlock financial blessings in ways you never imagined. These aren't just ordinary numbers. They're a spiritual key that combines ancient wisdom with divine grace. Picture yourself waking up each morning, no longer burdened by financial stress. Imagine checking your bank account without that familiar knot of anxiety in your stomach. What if I told you that thousands of faithful followers have already experienced this transformation through these three sacred numbers? This isn't about gambling or quick riches. It's about aligning yourself with God's abundant grace through Padre Pio's spiritual wisdom. The story of these numbers begins with a remarkable encounter between Padre Pio and a desperate mother of four who had lost everything during a financial crisis. Her family was facing eviction, her children were going hungry, and her prayers seemed to echo in empty spaces. But when she met Padre Pio in confession, he shared something that would not only transform her life, but would become a legacy of hope for generations to come. These numbers, which I'll reveal to you today, aren't magical digits or lottery picks. They represent something far more profound, a spiritual formula that Padre Pio understood was essential for attracting divine providence. They embody biblical principles of abundance, heavenly wisdom, and God's perfect timing. When used with genuine faith and proper spiritual understanding, they become a daily reminder of God's promise to provide for His children. But before I share these powerful numbers with you, I must emphasize something crucial. This isn't about replacing prayer with numerology or turning faith into superstition. Instead, it's about embracing a profound spiritual tool that Padre Pio left as a gift for those who understand that true abundance flows from aligning our hearts with God's will. As we delve deeper into this revelation, you'll discover why these specific numbers were chosen by Padre Pio, how they connect to biblical promises of prosperity, and most importantly, how to use them in a way that honors God while inviting His blessings into your financial life. This knowledge has been preserved and passed down through generations of devoted followers, and today it's your turn to receive this extraordinary gift. Remember, Padre Pio often said that worry is useless, but faith can move mountains. These 3 numbers are about to become your daily reminder of that profound truth. Are you ready to discover the financial secret that has transformed countless lives through Padre Pio's intercession? The power of these 3 numbers goes far beyond mere digits on paper. When Padre Pio revealed them, he emphasized something crucial. They serve as a gateway between earthly financial struggles and divine abundance. Each number carries a specific vibration, a sacred frequency that, when activated with pure faith and proper intention, creates a channel for God's blessings to flow into your financial life. Consider the biblical foundation of numbers and their spiritual significance. Throughout Scripture, we see how God uses specific numbers to convey His messages and manifest His will. 7 days of creation, 12 apostles, 40 days in the desert. These weren't random choices, but divine patterns carrying deep spiritual meaning. Similarly, the 3 numbers Padre Pio revealed were carefully chosen for their powerful spiritual resonance and their ability to align our financial lives with God's abundant grace. Many faithful followers have asked me why these numbers weren't widely known before. The answer lies in Padre Pio's profound wisdom. He understood that spiritual tools of this magnitude needed to be protected until the right time, a time when people would be ready to receive them with proper reverence and understanding. That time is now, as more and more faithful souls find themselves struggling with financial burdens while yearning for a deeper spiritual connection. But let me be clear, these numbers aren't a magical formula for instant wealth. They are, instead, a sacred key that unlocks a spiritual process of financial transformation. When you write these numbers with faith, you're not just performing a ritual, you're declaring your trust in God's providence and opening yourself to His abundant blessings. It's about creating a daily spiritual practice that combines unwavering faith with divine wisdom. The effectiveness of these numbers lies in their ability to shift your spiritual energy from a position of lack to one of divine abundance. They work by aligning your financial consciousness with God's infinite prosperity. Think of them as a spiritual antenna carefully tuned to receive heaven's financial blessings. When used with proper devotion and understanding, they create a powerful resonance that can attract unexpected opportunities, divine inspiration, and financial breakthroughs. Padre Pio chose these specific numbers because they represent the perfect balance between spiritual wisdom and practical manifestation. They embody the principles of divine timing, sacred geometry, and holy providence. Each number vibrates with a specific spiritual frequency that, when combined, creates a powerful force for financial transformation. As we prepare to unveil these sacred numbers, it's essential to understand that they must be used with pure intention and genuine faith. This isn't about testing God or demanding instant results. Instead, it's about embracing a profound spiritual tool that Padre Pio left as a gift for those who understand that true abundance flows from aligning our hearts with God's will while taking inspired action in our material world. Remember, these numbers are more than just a sequence of digits. They're a bridge between your financial needs and God's infinite abundance. They represent a sacred covenant between heaven and earth, a divine promise that when we align ourselves with God's prosperity consciousness, miracles can and do happen. The time has come to reveal these three powerful numbers, 7, 12, and 5. But before you hastily write them down, it's essential to understand their profound spiritual significance and why Padre Pio chose these specific digits as channels for financial blessings. Each number carries a unique divine purpose that, when properly understood and applied, can revolutionize your financial destiny. Let's begin with the number 7. In both biblical tradition and Padre Pio's teachings, 7 represents divine perfection and completion. Think about it. God created the world in 7 days, demonstrating the perfect cycle of creation and rest. When you invoke the number 7 in your financial practice, you're tapping into this divine perfection. It reminds us that God's timing in our financial matters is always perfect, even when our human understanding fails to see it. The number 12 carries equally powerful significance. Throughout Scripture, we see it representing divine governance and authority. The 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 apostles, 12 months in a year, all speak to God's perfect organizational structure. When Padre Pio included 12 in this financial sequence, he was acknowledging our need to submit our financial concerns to divine authority. It's about recognizing that true prosperity comes when we align our financial decisions with God's wisdom. The final number, 5, represents God's grace and favor. In biblical numerology, 5 is consistently associated with divine grace, goodness, and God's benevolence toward his children. By incorporating 5 into this sacred sequence, Padre Pio was emphasizing that financial abundance isn't earned through our efforts alone. It flows through God's grace and mercy. But here's something crucial that many don't understand. These numbers must be written in a specific order, with a particular intention, and at certain times of the day to activate their full spiritual potential. Padre Pio was very clear about this. The sequence begins with 7 to establish divine perfection, followed by 12 to invoke heavenly authority, and concludes with 5 to open the channels of grace. When writing these numbers, your heart must be in a state of grateful expectation, not desperate need. This is why Padre Pio taught that the early morning hours, just as the sun rises, are most powerful for this practice. It's when our minds are clear and our spirits are most receptive to divine influence. The numbers should be written with your dominant hand, as this connects to your active, manifesting energy. However, these numbers aren't meant to be used as a form of spiritual gambling or manipulation. They are sacred tools for aligning our financial consciousness with God's abundant nature. When you write them, you're essentially creating a spiritual contract, declaring your trust in God's provision while simultaneously opening yourself to divine guidance in your financial decisions. Many who practice this devotion report experiencing not just financial improvements, but a profound shift in how they view money altogether. They begin to see their resources as sacred tools for doing God's work, not just means for personal gain. This shift in consciousness often leads to unexpected opportunities, divine connections, and financial breakthroughs that seem miraculous in nature. Understanding the spiritual significance of these numbers is only the beginning. The true power lies in how you use them. Padre Pio provided specific instructions for this sacred practice, emphasizing that it's not just about writing numbers, it's about creating a daily spiritual ritual that opens the channels for financial blessings to flow into your life. The practice begins at dawn, precisely when the first rays of sunlight break through the darkness. This timing isn't arbitrary. It represents the moment when heaven and earth meet, when spiritual energy is at its peak. As you prepare for this sacred ritual, ensure you're in a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Your heart should be filled with gratitude, not anxiety about your financial situation. Take your dominant hand and, using a blue pen, Padre Pio was specific about this color as it represents divine truth and communication, write the numbers in this exact sequence. First the 7, allowing a brief moment of prayer for divine perfection. Then the 12, inviting heavenly authority into your finances. And finally the 5, opening yourself to God's grace and favor. As you write each number, breathe deeply and allow yourself to feel the spiritual significance of each digit. But here's what makes this practice truly transformative. While writing these numbers, you must simultaneously hold 3 specific intentions in your heart. First, gratitude for all you currently have, no matter how little it might seem. Second, trust in God's perfect timing and provision for your needs. Third, willingness to be a channel of blessing for others once abundance flows into your life. Padre Pio emphasized that this practice must be done consistently for 40 consecutive days, another spiritually significant number representing transformation and preparation. During these 40 days, you're not just writing numbers, you're building a spiritual foundation for lasting financial transformation. Each day's practice builds upon the previous one, creating a powerful momentum of faith and manifestation. However, there are specific guidelines that must be followed. The numbers should never be written when you're feeling angry, resentful, or desperate about money. These negative emotions can block the flow of divine energy. Instead, if you're experiencing such feelings, take time to pray and center yourself before engaging in the practice. Remember Padre Pio's words: pray, hope, and don't worry. Let these words guide your emotional state during the practice. Many practitioners have reported that around the 21st day of this practice, they begin noticing subtle changes. It might start with finding unexpected money, receiving surprising opportunities, or experiencing a new sense of peace about their financial situation. These initial manifestations are signs that the spiritual channels are opening, but they're also tests of your faith and consistency. The practice also includes a crucial element of surrender. After writing the numbers each morning, you must consciously release your financial worries to divine care. This isn't passive resignation, it's active trust in God's provision. Throughout the day, whenever financial concerns arise, touch the spot where you wrote the numbers and remind yourself that you've placed these matters in God's hands. While thousands have experienced the power of Padre Pio's sacred numbers, there's one testimony that perfectly illustrates their transformative potential. Let me share with you the extraordinary story of Maria, a devoted mother of 4 whose life was completely transformed through these 3 sacred numbers. Maria's story begins at her lowest point, a moment many of you might relate to. After her husband abandoned the family, she was left with a failing small grocery store, 4 young children to feed, and mounting debts that seemed impossible to overcome. The creditors were calling daily, and the electricity in her store had been cut off due to unpaid bills. The bank had given her a final notice. She had 30 days to pay $75,000 in overdue loans, or they would seize both her store and her modest home. Every night, Maria would cry herself to sleep, praying for a miracle. That's when her local priest noticed her distress after Sunday Mass. He shared with her the sacred practice of Padre Pio's numbers, explaining their significance and the proper way to use them. Though skeptical at first, Maria was drawn to the way he emphasized that these numbers weren't about magic, but about aligning oneself with God's abundant grace. With nothing left to lose, Maria committed to the 40-day practice with unwavering faith. Each morning before her children woke up, she would write the numbers exactly as instructed, accompanying each digit with prayers of gratitude despite her difficult circumstances. What happened next defies mere coincidence. On day 21 of her practice, an elegant woman walked into her nearly empty store. Instead of buying anything, she began asking Maria detailed questions about her business model and challenges. This woman, as it turned out, represented a major supermarket chain looking to establish a community partnership program in developing neighborhoods. But here's where the divine intervention becomes undeniable. The initial contract they offered Maria was for exactly $75,000, the precise amount she needed to save her store and home. Even more remarkably, the payment would be processed within 10 days, just before her final deadline with the bank. However, the miracles didn't stop there. The partnership proved so successful that within 6 months, Maria's store had become a model for the program. Her revenue tripled, and she was able to hire 2 additional employees. Today, 3 years later, Maria owns 3 successful stores and has established a foundation helping other struggling single mothers start their own businesses. Maria still practices writing Padre Pio's numbers every morning, not out of financial necessity anymore, but out of gratitude and spiritual devotion. She keeps her original 40-day journal as a testament to God's faithfulness, showing it to others who come to her in financial distress. These numbers, she often says, aren't just about money. They're about learning to trust in God's perfect plan for your life. If you have been touched by the story of Mary and feel ready to deepen your spiritual connection with Padre Pio's teachings, I have something special to share with you. We have created a powerful spiritual guide called The Spiritual Secrets of Padre Pio, a comprehensive ebook that will take your abundance journey to the next level. This sacred material contains Padre Pio's most powerful prayers for financial breakthrough, detailed spiritual practices based on his teachings, practical guidance to strengthen your faith, daily reflections to transform your relationship with abundance, special sections on the effective use of the 3 sacred numbers. Click on the link pinned in the comments below to access this life-changing guide. Remember, just as Mary's life was changed through these spiritual practices, your abundance journey is about to begin. This is not just another book. It is your personal key to unlocking Padre Pio's spiritual wisdom for financial prosperity. Take action now while you feel this divine connection. Your path to abundance awaits. The transformation we witnessed in Maria's life wasn't just about writing numbers. It revealed profound spiritual principles that govern how Padre Pio's sacred numbers operate in our financial lives. Let's examine these principles while understanding a crucial point many practitioners overlook. The foundation of this practice lies in what Padre Pio called divine financial alignment. When Maria wrote the number 7 each morning in her store's quiet corner, she wasn't just marking a digit, she was acknowledging God's perfect timing. Even when creditors were calling and her electricity had been cut off, that number 7 reminded her daily that God's timing is never early or late, but always perfect. The number 12, which Maria diligently wrote next, represents divine governance. During her darkest moments, when her children would ask why the store shelves were empty, this number reminded her that just as God governs the celestial order, He also governs every aspect of our financial lives. The partnership that saved her business didn't come by chance. It came through divine orchestration. However, here's where many practitioners make a crucial mistake that can delay their breakthrough. They focus too much on the physical act of writing the numbers and not enough on what Padre Pio called the inner alignment. Even Maria initially fell into this trap during her first week of practice, mechanically writing the numbers while her mind raced with worries about her mounting debts. The turning point in her practice came when she learned to enter what Padre Pio termed the sacred pause, a moment of complete stillness before writing each number. This pause, lasting just 3 deep breaths, allows your spirit to fully align with the divine significance of each number. Without this pause, the practice can become merely mechanical, significantly reducing its spiritual potency. The number 5, representing divine grace, becomes particularly powerful when preceded by this sacred pause. When Maria finally incorporated this element into her practice, she noticed an immediate shift in her spiritual awareness. Solutions began appearing in unexpected ways, like the mysterious visitor who would transform her business. This practice also operates through what Padre Pio called the law of spiritual momentum. Each day builds upon the previous one, creating a cumulative effect of divine alignment. Maria noticed that her strongest breakthrough came after 3 full weeks of consistent practice. The exact time frame Padre Pio said was necessary for the spiritual momentum to reach its peak. Remember, these numbers aren't just symbols, they're active channels for divine provision when used with proper understanding and reverence. The 3-breath pause before writing each number isn't optional. It's essential for activating their full potential. This detail, often overlooked in discussions about the practice, can make the difference between superficial results and profound transformation. Before we proceed further into the power of these sacred numbers, it's essential to address what Padre Pio warned about their misuse. Understanding these cautions is just as important as knowing how to use the numbers correctly, as improper application can block their spiritual effectiveness in your financial transformation. The first and most serious mistake people make is treating these numbers like a magical formula or lottery picks. Padre Pio was explicit about this. These numbers are not for gambling, speculation, or get-rich-quick schemes. Several followers learned this lesson the hard way when they used the numbers for betting, only to experience even greater financial difficulties. Remember, these are sacred tools for aligning with divine prosperity, not instruments for material greed. Another common error is inconsistency in the practice. Some people write the numbers only when they're in financial crisis, then abandon the practice once things improve. This sporadic approach severely limits the numbers' effectiveness. The 40-day commitment isn't arbitrary. It's a divinely ordained period of spiritual cultivation. Breaking this cycle, especially between days 21 and 35 when most breakthroughs occur, can reset your entire progress. Many practitioners also make the mistake of sharing their written numbers with others or posting photos of them on social media. Padre Pio taught that this sacred practice should remain private between you and God. While you can share the knowledge of the numbers, your personal practice should remain confidential. Think of it as an intimate conversation between your soul and divine providence. There's also the error of wrong timing and intention. Some write the numbers in a state of desperation, anger, or resentment about their financial situation. Padre Pio emphasized that the numbers should only be written in a state of grateful expectation. If you're feeling negative emotions about money, first spend time in prayer until you reach a place of peace and trust. A particularly subtle mistake is what Padre Pio called divided allegiance. This happens when people combine these sacred numbers with other financial practices that might contradict Christian principles. The numbers must be used exclusively with faith in divine providence, not mixed with practices from other spiritual traditions or secular money-making schemes. Some practitioners fall into the trap of obsessing over immediate results. They constantly check their bank accounts or scrutinize every small event for signs of financial breakthrough. This anxiety-driven approach actually creates resistance to the flow of abundance. The numbers work best when accompanied by peaceful surrender to divine timing. There's also the mistake of using incorrect materials or methods. Some try to type the numbers digitally, print them, or have others write them. Padre Pio was clear. They must be handwritten by you personally, using a blue pen, preferably on your palm or in a dedicated prayer journal. The physical act of writing creates a spiritual connection that digital methods cannot replicate. Lastly, many fail to understand that these numbers are part of a larger spiritual practice. They ignore the importance of maintaining ethical financial behavior, being generous with others, and continuing their regular prayers and spiritual devotions. The numbers are not a replacement for living a life of faith. They're an enhancement to it. Now that we understand both the power and potential pitfalls of Padre Pio's numbers, let's explore the essential preparation ritual that maximizes their effectiveness. This sacred preparation, often overlooked by many practitioners, is what transforms these numbers from mere digits into powerful channels of financial blessing. The preparation begins the night before you start your 40-day practice. Padre Pio instructed that the evening should be spent in what he called financial confession, a thorough examination of your relationship with money. This involves acknowledging past financial mistakes without judgment, releasing feelings of shame about money, and setting clear intentions for your spiritual financial transformation. Before starting the practice, you need to create what Padre Pio referred to as your prosperity altar. This isn't an elaborate setup, simply a clean, dedicated space where you'll write the numbers each morning. It should face east if possible, symbolizing the rising sun and new beginnings. On this space, place a blue candle representing divine wisdom in financial matters, your prayer journal, and if possible, a picture of Padre Pio. The morning ritual itself requires specific preparation. You should wake up before sunrise, as Padre Pio emphasized that the pre-dawn hours carry special spiritual potency for financial matters. Before writing the numbers, wash your hands with pure water while reciting Psalm 23, symbolizing God's abundant provision. The water represents purification of your financial energy and readiness to receive new blessings. Your writing materials must also be carefully chosen. The blue pen should be new and dedicated solely to this practice. Padre Pio specified blue ink because it resonates with the spiritual frequency of abundance and divine communication. The pen should never be used for ordinary writing. It's a sacred tool for your financial breakthrough. The physical space where you perform the ritual must be clean and organized. Padre Pio taught that cluttered spaces block the flow of financial blessings. Take time to clear your prosperity altar of any dust or unnecessary items. The space should feel sacred and peaceful, conducive to spiritual connection. Your spiritual preparation is equally crucial. The night before beginning the practice, Padre Pio recommended a special prayer of financial surrender. This prayer acknowledges God's role as the source of all abundance and releases any attachment to specific outcomes. Many practitioners report that this surrender prayer often leads to financial blessings far greater than what they initially imagined. Mental preparation involves what Padre Pio called prosperity visualization. Before writing the numbers each morning, spend a few moments visualizing yourself as a channel of divine abundance. See yourself not just receiving financial blessings, but also using them to help others and advance God's kingdom. This visualization sets the proper spiritual frequency for the numbers to work effectively. The 40-day journey of working with Padre Pio's sacred numbers follows a specific pattern of spiritual and financial transformation. Understanding these stages helps you navigate the process with greater awareness and faith, maximizing the potential for your financial breakthrough. During the first 7 days, known as the awakening phase, many practitioners report subtle shifts in their financial awareness. You might notice small synchronicities, finding unexpected money, receiving random discounts, or having forgotten debts repaid. These initial signs, while sometimes modest, are crucial indicators that the spiritual channels are beginning to open. Padre Pio called these whispers of providence, suggesting that practitioners should pay attention to even the smallest financial blessings. The next phase, from day 8 to day 21, is what Padre Pio termed the purification period. This is often the most challenging phase, where old financial fears and limiting beliefs surface for healing. You might face unexpected expenses or financial challenges. Don't be discouraged. These obstacles are actually signs that the numbers are working, clearing old financial karma and preparing you for greater abundance. During this phase, many report vivid dreams about money or receiving clear spiritual guidance about their finances. Days 22 through 33 mark the manifestation phase. This is when most practitioners begin experiencing more tangible financial breakthroughs. Job opportunities appear, new business ideas emerge, or unexpected sources of income manifest. Padre Pio noted that during this phase, it's crucial to maintain the practice with even greater devotion, as the temptation to become complacent often arises when blessings begin flowing. The final week, days 34 through 40, is the integration period. This is when the financial blessings begin taking permanent root in your life. Many report receiving exactly what they need, not always in the form they expected, but often in ways that exceed their original prayers. This period is marked by a profound sense of peace about money matters and clear divine guidance in financial decisions. However, Padre Pio emphasized that the transformation doesn't end on day 40. This is actually when the real work begins. The numbers will have established new spiritual pathways for abundance, but maintaining these channels requires continued faithfulness. Many successful practitioners choose to repeat the 40-day cycle quarterly, aligning with natural seasons of spiritual and financial renewal. Throughout this journey, it's essential to maintain what Padre Pio called the prosperity journal. Each day, after writing the numbers, record any financial blessings, insights, or guidance received. This creates a powerful testimony of God's faithfulness and helps you recognize patterns in how divine providence operates in your life. Many practitioners are amazed when reviewing their journals to see how seemingly random events were actually part of a larger divine plan for their financial breakthrough. My dear friend, as we reach this sacred moment together, I want you to feel the loving presence of Padre Pio surrounding you right now. Take a deep breath and place your hand over your heart. Can you feel the hope rising within you? This isn't just the end of our journey together, it's the beginning of your new financial destiny. Remember how we started, with you perhaps feeling uncertain about your financial future. Now you hold in your hands something precious, not just 3 numbers, but a divine key to abundance that Padre Pio preserved specifically for this moment in your life. These numbers, 7, 12, and 5, are more than just digits. They're your personal connection to heaven's unlimited prosperity. As you prepare to begin your own 40-day journey with these sacred numbers, I want you to know that you're not walking this path alone. Countless others before you have transformed their financial lives through this practice, and their testimonies light the way forward. Every morning, when you write these numbers with faith, you're joining a spiritual community of believers who are also invoking these same divine principles of abundance. Think about Maria, whose story we shared earlier. She started exactly where you are now, holding these numbers close to her heart with nothing but faith and hope. Today, her life stands as a testimony to God's faithfulness. Your story of transformation is about to begin, and I believe with all my heart that it will be even more remarkable. But beyond the financial transformation that awaits you, there's something even more precious coming your way. Through this practice, you'll develop an unshakable trust in God's provision. You'll experience firsthand what Padre Pio meant when he said, "Pray, hope, and don't worry." Your relationship with money will shift from one of anxiety to one of peaceful expectation. As you begin this sacred journey tomorrow morning, remember that every sunrise brings new opportunities for miracles. Write these numbers with joy in your heart, knowing that each stroke of your pen is a declaration of faith in God's abundant provision. Let each number remind you of its divine significance. 7 for perfect timing, 12 for divine order, and 5 for overwhelming grace. If you're ready to receive this blessing, I invite you right now to place your hand over your heart and say these words with me. Dear Padre Pio, I open my heart to receive these sacred numbers with faith and gratitude. Guide me on this journey of financial transformation. Help me trust in God's perfect timing and abundant provision. Amen. Remember, your financial breakthrough isn't just about money. It's about fulfilling your divine destiny. When God prospers you, it's so you can be a blessing to others. Through your testimony, others will find hope. Through your abundance, others will be helped. This is the beautiful cycle of divine prosperity that Padre Pio understood so well. Now take these numbers and begin your journey with confidence. Write them with faith each morning, knowing that heaven's abundance is already flowing toward you. Your time of financial worry is ending. A new chapter of prosperity, peace, and purpose is beginning. Trust in this process, believe in these numbers, and watch as God transforms your financial life in ways you never thought possible. Picture this. You're walking through your day when suddenly you feel it, that unmistakable sense that something sacred is happening around you. Maybe it's the way the sunlight hits your window at just the right moment, or how a stranger's kind words arrive exactly when your heart needed them most. What if I told you that tomorrow, July 7th, carries that same kind of divine electricity, but amplified in ways most people never recognize? My friends, we're about to uncover something extraordinary that's been hiding in plain sight. The number 7 isn't some random digit that caught God's attention. It's woven into the very fabric of creation itself. 7 days to speak the universe into existence. 7 sacraments that bridge heaven and earth. 7 times Jesus spoke from the cross. When July 7th arrives, it's like the spiritual realm takes a deep breath and whispers, "Pay attention." But here's what makes this even more incredible. Saint Padre Pio, the priest who bore Christ's wounds and could see into human souls, understood these divine rhythms better than almost anyone who ever lived. This wasn't a man who chased after spiritual novelties or empty traditions. When demons physically attacked him in his cell, when he suffered the agony of the stigmata for 50 years, when he spent entire nights in mystical union with Jesus, he learned which practices actually open heaven's storehouse of grace. Today, I'm going to share 7 specific things that Padre Pio would urgently recommend you do on July 7th. These aren't wishful thinking or religious busy work. These are tested, proven ways to position your heart, your family, and your entire year under the protective shadow of the Almighty. Stay with me until the very end, because the 7th practice involves a prayer that Padre Pio whispered every single day. A prayer so powerful that if you offer it tomorrow, it could become the turning point that transforms everything about how you experience God's presence in your life. But first, I need something from you. If you sense that God has been trying to get your attention lately, if you feel like there's more to this spiritual life than you've been experiencing, write this in the comments. Saint Pio, open my eyes. Your simple act of faith helps this message reach other hearts that are hungry for genuine encounter with the divine. Now, before we dive into these life-changing practices, we need to understand why July 7th holds such extraordinary potential, and why saints throughout history have known how to recognize and respond to these special invitations from heaven. Let me take you back to the beginning of everything. When God decided to create our world, He didn't work randomly or carelessly. He established a rhythm that would echo through all of history, 6 days of creative work, then rest on the 7th day. But notice something powerful. God didn't rest because He was tired. The creator of galaxies doesn't need a coffee break. He rested to show us something profound about how divine blessing flows. The 7th day became sacred, set apart, different from every other day. It became the template for how God wants to meet with His people in special, concentrated ways. This pattern didn't disappear when Jesus came. It got fulfilled and deepened. Look at how Christ Himself honored this divine rhythm. 7 times He spoke from the cross. 7 I am statements in John's Gospel. 7 churches in Revelation, 7 seals, 7 trumpets, all pointing to the completeness and perfection of God's plan. But here's where it gets personal for you and me. St. Padre Pio lived this truth in ways that most of us can barely imagine. This wasn't a man who collected spiritual theories or got excited about religious trends. When you've been physically wrestling with demons in your monastery cell, when the wounds of Christ are literally burning in your hands and feet every day, when people travel from around the world because they can see that God moves through your prayers in supernatural ways. You learn to distinguish between what's real and what's just religious decoration. Padre Pio used to say, "Prayer is the best weapon we have. It is the key to the heart of God." But he didn't just say it, he lived it with an intensity that transformed everyone around him. His Mass would last over an hour, not because he was slow, but because he was so united with Christ's sacrifice that the boundaries between earth and heaven seemed to dissolve. When this holy priest chose certain days to intensify his spiritual focus, it wasn't superstition or religious enthusiasm. It was strategic warfare. He understood that there are moments when the spiritual atmosphere is charged with possibility, when God is extending special invitations for deeper union, when the enemy's defenses are more vulnerable to the power of authentic faith. That's exactly what July 7th represents. It's not that God loves you more on this day than on others. His love is constant and infinite. But there are times when he arranges circumstances, when he creates spiritual momentum, when he opens doorways that aren't always available. Recognizing these moments and responding with intentional action is what separates saints from people who just drift through their spiritual lives hoping for the best. Think about Mary at the Annunciation. The angel didn't just show up randomly. It was the fullness of time, the perfect moment when heaven and earth were aligned for the most important yes in human history. Or consider the day of Pentecost. The disciples weren't just lucky to be in the upper room when the Holy Spirit arrived. They were positioned there through prayer and expectation. July 7th offers you that same kind of positioning. These 7 practices aren't magic formulas. They're invitations to align your heart with the same spiritual wisdom that made Padre Pio a saint. Speaking of Padre Pio's wisdom, I know many of you have been asking for practical ways to deepen your prayer life, especially your devotion to the rosary. The saint himself prayed up to 30 rosaries daily, and there's a reason why this prayer was so central to his spiritual power. That's why we've created something special just for you. The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This spiritual treasure contains Padre Pio's most profound teachings about the Rosary, documented miracles from those who've embraced this devotion, and a complete 30-day prayer guide that will transform how you pray. The Rosary was Padre Pio's secret weapon against evil and his highway to heaven. Today, it can become yours too. You'll find the download link pinned in our comments below. Now let's return to these 7 practices that could revolutionize your spiritual life. Imagine walking into an emergency room with a life-threatening condition, but instead of dreading the procedure, you know the surgeon is both the most skilled physician in the world and someone who loves you more than you can comprehend. That's what Padre Pio understood about confession. It's not spiritual drudgery, it's divine rescue operation. For over 50 years, this holy priest spent up to 15 hours daily in the confessional, and he called it the tribunal of God's mercy. But here's what made Padre Pio different from other confessors. He could see into souls. People would come to him planning to hide certain sins, and he would gently mention the very things they thought they could keep secret, not to embarrass them, but to set them completely free. On July 7th, approach confession with Padre Pio's perspective. This isn't about religious obligation, it's about removing every barrier between you and God's infinite love. Before you go, spend real time examining your conscience. Ask the Holy Spirit to show you not just individual sins, but the deeper patterns that need healing. Where have you chosen fear over trust? Where has pride blinded you to your need for grace? When you enter that confessional, remember Padre Pio's words. For those who approach the sacrament of penance, God's mercy opens like an infinite ocean. You're not going to be condemned. You're going to experience the most liberating moment possible for a human soul. Make a firm purpose of amendment, receive your penance with gratitude, and walk out knowing that you are completely forgiven and infinitely loved. This spiritual cleansing creates space for everything else God wants to do in your life. What if I told you that tomorrow you could have a personal, intimate encounter with the same Jesus who walked on water, who raised the dead, who conquered hell itself? Not in some mystical vision that might or might not happen, but in a guaranteed, sacramental reality that the Catholic Church offers you every single day. Padre Pio understood the Mass in ways that made grown men weep just watching him celebrate it. He would often say that the world could exist more easily without the Son than without the holy sacrifice of the Mass. When he elevated the host, people could see that he wasn't just performing a ritual, he was entering into the very moment when Christ died for our sins. His Masses often lasted over an hour, not because he was slow, but because he was so united with Christ's sacrifice that he seemed to lose all sense of earthly time. Witnesses described how his face would transform during the consecration, how tears would stream down his cheeks, how his whole being seemed to radiate the presence of the divine. On July 7th, attend Mass with Padre Pio's heart. Arrive early and prepare yourself spiritually. When you receive Holy Communion, and you must be in a state of grace, offer that sacred moment for your entire year ahead. Place your family, your work, your struggles, your dreams into the hands of Jesus. This isn't just symbolic. In the Eucharist, you literally receive the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Christ. Let this July 7th communion become your covenant moment, where you say with your whole heart, Jesus, I want you to be the center of absolutely everything in my life. Here's something that might shock you. Padre Pio prayed up to 30 complete rosaries every single day. When people asked him how he found time for so many rosaries, his response was simple and profound. The Blessed Virgin Mary has never refused to hear my prayers. To those who turn to the rosary, she grants everything she possibly can. But Padre Pio's rosary wasn't mindless repetition of memorized prayers. Each Hail Mary was a conversation with his Heavenly Mother. Each mystery was a doorway into the life of Christ. When he prayed the rosary, he wasn't just reciting formulas. He was walking through salvation history with Mary as his guide. Think about what the rosary actually contains. The entire life of Jesus, from his conception to his coronation in heaven, meditated upon through the eyes of the woman who knew him best. When you pray the joyful mysteries, you're experiencing Mary's wonder at the Incarnation. The luminous mysteries reveal Christ's public ministry. The sorrowful mysteries unite you with Mary's heartbreak at the cross. The glorious mysteries celebrate the triumph that makes all our suffering meaningful. On July 7th, commit to praying at least one complete rosary with the devotion of Padre Pio. If you can manage all 4 sets of mysteries, even better. But don't rush through the prayers mechanically. Hold each mystery in your heart. See yourself present at the Nativity, walking with Jesus through his ministry, standing with Mary at Calvary, rejoicing at the empty tomb. Bring your specific intentions to Our Lady. She specializes in impossible situations and desperate hearts. Padre Pio promised that Mary never ignores the rosary, especially when it's prayed with authentic love. Let me share something that might sound surprising in our modern world. You live in an active war zone, not a political or military conflict, but a spiritual battle that's been raging since the fall of Adam and Eve. St. Paul wasn't speaking metaphorically when he wrote about wrestling against principalities and powers. Padre Pio knew this reality better than most because he experienced supernatural attacks physically throughout his life. But here's the good news: you're not defenseless. The Catholic Church has provided powerful weapons for spiritual warfare, and holy water is one of the most effective. Padre Pio used holy water constantly, blessing himself multiple times throughout the day and frequently sprinkling it in his cell and around the monastery. Why does holy water work? because it's been blessed by the Church specifically to drive away evil and sanctify whatever it touches. The devil despises holy water because it represents the power of Christ's victory over sin and death. On July 7th, visit your parish and get fresh holy water. Walk through your home room by room, sprinkling it with faith and intention. As you do this, pray with confidence. Jesus, wash this place with your precious blood. Purify and protect this home and everyone who lives here. Pay special attention to bedrooms where your family sleeps and is most vulnerable, and to entry points like doors and windows. Don't approach this as superstition. Approach it as spiritual warfare. You're claiming your home for Christ, declaring that only love, peace, and holiness have a place within these walls. This simple act can transform the spiritual atmosphere of your entire living space. Padre Pio once said something that should revolutionize how we think about our spiritual lives. There is no prayer more powerful than love translated into action. This saint, who founded hospitals and brought healing to thousands, understood that authentic spirituality cannot be separated from concrete love for our neighbor. But here's what most people miss about Padre Pio's charity. It wasn't limited to grand gestures or heroic acts. Yes, he built medical facilities and ministered to countless souls, but his daily life was filled with small acts of love that nobody else would notice. He would spend extra time with someone who needed encouragement. He would pray for hours for people he'd never met. He would share his meager possessions with anyone in need. On July 7th, follow his example by performing a concrete act of charity. This could be a financial gift to someone struggling with bills. It might mean visiting an elderly person who feels forgotten by the world. Perhaps you could bring groceries to a family going through hard times, or simply call someone who's been on your heart but whom you've been too busy to contact. Whatever you choose to do, offer it as a prayer. As you extend your hand to help, say quietly in your heart, "Lord, receive this act of love and multiply it into blessings for me and my family." This isn't selfish, it's biblical. Scripture promises that when we give, we receive. When we show mercy, mercy flows back to us. Here's the spiritual law that Padre Pio understood perfectly. God keeps perfect accounts, and he never allows a single act of genuine love to go unrewarded. Your charity today could unlock blessings that transform your entire year. Throughout his ministry, Padre Pio regularly blessed and distributed sacramental objects, understanding their power as weapons against the enemy. This holy priest, who battled demons both physically and spiritually throughout his life, knew the incredible effectiveness of blessed medals, exorcised salt, and other sacred objects that the Church provides. Many Catholics today have lost appreciation for these spiritual tools, but Padre Pio sent blessed sacramentals to people around the world who needed protection and grace. He understood that we're not just fighting against human problems, we're engaged in spiritual warfare that requires spiritual weapons. On July 7th, place exorcised salt, or holy water mixed with ordinary salt, in strategic corners of your home, particularly in areas where you sense spiritual heaviness or where family conflicts tend to arise. If you have devotional medals of Saint Benedict, the Sacred Heart, or the Miraculous medal, place them thoughtfully around your house. The medal of Saint Benedict contains ancient prayers of exorcism and has been used for centuries to drive away evil. The Miraculous medal has been associated with countless documented miracles since Our Lady gave it to St. Catherine Labouré. The Sacred Heart medal reminds us that Jesus' love is our ultimate protection against all evil. As you place each sacramental, pray with intention. Jesus, may you alone reign in this house. Drive away every spirit of discord, sickness, or destruction. Fill this space with your peace, your love, and your protection. These aren't magic charms. They're expressions of faith that invite God's blessing and protection into our homes. When you place them with sincere trust, you're creating spiritual boundaries that evil cannot cross. The seventh practice is the most intimate and powerful of all, ending this sacred day by praying the prayer that flowed from Padre Pio's heart every single day of his adult life. This wasn't just a beautiful prayer for him. It was the cry of his soul, the expression of his total dependence on Jesus. At the end of July 7th, kneel down in a quiet place, close your eyes, and offer these words that came straight from the saint's mystical union with Christ. Stay with me, Lord, for I need your presence so I don't forget you. Stay with me, Lord, for I am weak and need your strength so I don't fall. Stay with me, Lord, for you are my life, and without you I lose heart. Stay with me, Lord, for I want to love you and always be in your company. Stay with me, Lord, for it is getting dark and the day is declining. Stay with me, Lord, for you alone are my love, my light, my guide, my shepherd. Stay with me, Lord, today and always. Amen. When you pray these words, you're entering into the same spirit of abandonment and trust that made Padre Pio a saint. You're placing yourself completely in Jesus' hands, acknowledging your total dependence on his grace. After offering his prayer, add your personal petition. Saint Padre Pio, you who knew how to unite yourself so completely with Jesus, please intercede for my specific intentions, especially that the rest of this year may be guided by the hands of Jesus and Mary. Bring before him your deepest needs, family members who need healing, financial struggles, relationship conflicts, fears about the future. This prayer creates a direct connection between your heart and heaven. Look at the beautiful architecture of what we've just built together. These 7 practices aren't random spiritual exercises thrown together. They form a complete transformation system that touches every dimension of your relationship with God and every corner of your daily life. We start with confession, creating a clean slate where God's grace can flow freely. Then we unite ourselves with Jesus in the Eucharist, receiving the very source of all spiritual power. Through the Rosary, we learn to see through Mary's eyes and receive her motherly intercession for everything we face. With holy water, we claim our physical spaces for Christ and create an atmosphere where his peace can flourish. Through acts of charity, we become living channels of God's love and position ourselves to receive his abundant blessings. With blessed sacramentals, we establish ongoing spiritual protection that guards our homes and families. Finally, through Padre Pio's prayer, we anchor our hearts in complete dependence on Jesus. But here's what makes this even more powerful. These practices don't end on July 7th. They create momentum that can carry you through the entire year. Your confession opens you to ongoing growth in holiness. Your mass attendance deepens your hunger for daily union with Christ. Your rosary establishes a rhythm of prayer that can sustain you through any storm. Your acts of charity create a lifestyle of love that attracts God's favor. Your use of sacramentals maintains consistent protection against spiritual attack. And your friendship with Padre Pio gives you a powerful heavenly advocate who understands human struggle. Think of July 7th as planting spiritual seeds that will bear fruit for months to come. When you face challenges later this year, you'll have established patterns of grace that can carry you through. When opportunities arise, you'll have positioned yourself to recognize and respond to God's invitations. This isn't about earning God's love. You already have that completely and unconditionally. This is about removing the obstacles that prevent you from experiencing his love fully. It's about aligning your heart with the same spiritual wisdom that transformed a simple Italian friar into one of the most powerful saints in church history. Padre Pio didn't make empty promises or offer quick spiritual fixes. He pointed people toward the cross of Christ, toward the sacraments, toward prayer and works of mercy. These are the practices that genuinely open heaven's storehouse and release divine blessing into human lives. My dear friends, we've journeyed together through 7 practices that carry the power to transform not just a single day, but your entire relationship with the God who created you for infinite love and purpose. These aren't just nice religious ideas. They're battle-tested spiritual weapons used by a saint who knew how to move heaven and earth through prayer. When Padre Pio embraced these practices, miracles followed. Lives were changed. Families were healed. The impossible became possible. July 7th is your invitation to step into that same kind of spiritual power. Not through your own strength or worthiness, but through joining your heart with a saint who knew how to unlock heaven's treasury through simple, profound acts of faith. Here's what I want you to do right now. In the comments below, tell me which of these 7 practices stirred something deep in your heart. But don't just tell me. Make a public commitment to live it out tomorrow. There's power in declaring your intentions before this community of believers. Your courage could be exactly what someone else needs to take their own step of faith. And if this message has given you hope, if you sense that God is calling you to something deeper, please share this video with 3 people who need to encounter His love in a fresh way. You might be the instrument God uses to change someone's entire life trajectory. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're building more than just a YouTube channel here. We're creating a spiritual family that supports each other on this incredible journey toward heaven. Every time you engage with our content, you're helping these messages reach hearts around the world that are hungry for authentic encounter with Jesus. Let me leave you with these words from Padre Pio that I want you to carry into tomorrow. Prayer is the oxygen of the soul. May your prayer on July 7th become the breath that revives your spirit and opens your life to miracles you never imagined possible. May the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary surround you with love, and may Saint Padre Pio himself walk beside you, guiding your steps toward the heart of God. Until we meet again, go in peace and know that you are deeply loved.